All right, so today's video, we are watching a Gold 4 tank. You're going to see a little bit of Ramatra, but mainly Sigma. And now here's where they're at. So it said, here's the thing. They've never played tank before this season. Well, they did, but for 2 matches. But they usually play support, but they usually play support in, I don't know what rank. I think bronze? I think they're usually in bronze. So they said the fact that they're gold in tank is baffling to them. They feel like they play tank too passively. They only attack when enemies get near them. They never push the enemies or get too far from the point. They don't take any high grounds. They stayed by the card the whole match because the DPSs were Tracer and Pharah and Moira and Bap. And they were going to the back line and leaving the enemy tank for the other tank to deal with. Well, that's what it felt like. I really do feel like I got carried by the teams I play with, as I usually feel like whenever I play tank, what I want to know is, am I playing the tank I chose in this match correctly, or was I actually carried to gold 4? And I do have confirmation on their main, their support, they are in bronze. So they're normally in bronze, but when they played tank, they ended up in gold. That is where that's at right now, so we'll see.
You are safe with me.
All right, try not to use your cooldowns early in that room right there. There's no reason to... Yeah, so you popped your Nemesis form really early. And you want to be careful of plays like that, because if you just don't use your... Yeah, there you go.
Guessed it's been such a short time.
So, like, think about this. When you use your Nemesis form, you want to be closer to them. You don't want to use Nemesis form just to run into their team and then have no Nemesis form left, right? Obviously, if you're running back from spawn, etc., that'd be the play. But yeah, that's a little bit aggressive. So you say you never really push past here or do anything. You just stay on the card. Which, I mean, sometimes it happens to me. Okay, right now, go for that Rhine. Go for that Rhine. They're discorded, and you can go Nemesis form on them. So, like, that's a situation where, as Ramatra, you look at the matchup you're against, and you go, okay, that Reinhardt is going to be a good matchup for you. See? You didn't even hit half your shots there, and you still got the Rhine for free because, 1, they're out of position, 2, they're discorded. You got to remember that, all right? Did they punch in the air right now? I mean, I saw him punch a Rhine. This is Spectating. Yep, there you go. Okay, so what you probably want to do in this type of situation is sometimes it's more important to get the high ground. Also, I love how your teammate left. That's a sweat treat. I think they'll be back, though. I don't think there was any mention of your teammates, like, being gone for too long. All right. Yeah, so far what you're doing is you're basically... And then don't get me wrong, tank does feel this a bit more like this now, and I've kind of talked about it. You're kind of in this spot where, like, you don't really know what you want to do, and your teammates are doing good enough to where, like, you don't want to over-push in, and then when you do over-push in, you take so much damage that you have to fall back. So, like, from a survivability point of view, you're playing okay.
Thank you.
I mean, 4v5, you're going to play a little bit differently anyway, so, like, I imagine their lever will come back. Because otherwise, it's, like, so hard to really be able to give, like, a... Yeah. Okay, so what you need to start doing, even if it's a 4v5 right now, I need you to take map control a little bit. Like, I know that, like, in some ranks, you'll default to the cart over and over again. And heck, you can do that all the way to top 500. People will default to cart over and over again. But if you have a team that is willing to go and take map control and high ground around you, just go with them at this point. Just go with them. Because you're kind of just going by yourself. Turn around, by the way. Yeah. So just so you know, when you're blocking... Actually, I don't know. Does that work with Ramatra? When you shoot him from behind? I actually don't know. I know with Doom it doesn't work that way. But I think with Ramatra it's the same way. When they shoot behind you on your block, you don't block the damage. So you want to turn around and prevent some of that damage from where the main amount of damage is coming from. You stared at the Zarya who wasn't even looking at you. Keep that in mind. Like, you stared at the Zarya that wasn't even looking at you. Alright, this is interesting. Okay, now you're taking high ground, and your teammate's back. This is good. Now, I want you to see, like, what high ground will do for you here when you do this. This is a very simple play that maintains the high ground, and then you're able to follow the cart. Do you see that? And that's why I'm saying sometimes it's okay to go for map control if the cart gets a little bit less push time. Ideally, you have your team going for the high ground and somebody who's willing to stay cart, which usually you want it to be like your tracer. nowadays, just because your Tracer will kind of get stuck up there. Even though Tracer can still pop off, and they are popping off, so, like, it makes sense. But, like, that was the correct play, and that was good to see. They just got pooped hard. And remember, with Sigma, it's projectile aim. Okay, projectile aim is where you want to lead your shots. It's not hit scan. Hit scan's where your shots go exactly where you're aiming. So one thing you're doing right now is it seems like you're trying to hit scan aim a little bit. So you're always behind them when you're trying to shoot at them, for the most part. And that's because you're not using the aim that you would want to use on this hero. I'm not worried about them feeding the bubbles on Zarya. I've talked about this sometimes. I feel like an out of position Zarya, you can feed their bubbles if they're out of position, because like then you just get free picks. Like, if they start using another bubble right now, you can, in theory, break this bubble and just kill Zarya. Now, they used Lamp, and you see what I mean, though? Do you see how low they got? Like, that's what I'm referencing right there. It's like, you can... If the Zarya's out of position, you can get the Zarya. Like, that simple.
Emongg blankies, emongg blankies.
Wait for it. Okay, not bad. So you always struggle against Zarya? She's one of the... you hate going against Zarya? I mean, like, a lot of the time, it's like I said, I think there's this... And I can pause for a second to kind of talk about this point. There's just, like... there's always this, like, situation with Zarya how do I explain it? There's, like, always this situation with Zarya where you run into an issue where people don't want you to shoot bubbles, but then Zaryas will take advantage of the map control you give them, and then you're either forced to shoot the bubbles when you're out of position, or like... They always get the map control they want. Sometimes if a Zarya is out of position, right? If a Zarya is out of position, it is okay to break those bubbles and kill the Zarya. But I think sometimes players will let Zarya get too much map control because they don't want to shoot the bubble. And then when you lose the balance of, like, the map control that Zarya can take when you don't shoot at the Zarya, you basically just end up getting backed up into a wall. And then the Zarya just does a bunch of damage to your teammates and you fall over. And then the Zarya then, at that point, can rotate their bubbles and you're forced to shoot at them in a position that isn't good for you. Right? So that's why, like, I feel like sometimes it's okay not to shoot bubbles, right? If they're at a distance. But if they're starting to be out of position and you start to see the Zarya gravitate into your team, that is when you just kill the Zarya. But I think a lot of players at a certain point have always heard don't shoot the bubble. So then Zarya just runs at you, and then no one shoots at the Zarya because no one wants to charge the Zarya. But then the Zarya is going to just win the game anyway because they're in your face and you've given them all the map control, right? And then, yeah, Zarya will be fully charged, and people still aren't shooting the bubble to try to get the Zarya out of position. That's why I don't know if it was a hot take, but during my Diva Guide, I mentioned that I feel like it's actually more important not to shoot the Doomfist block than it is the Zarya bubbles. Believe it or not. Just wanted to kind of make that pointer with Zarya. I feel like more and more as we've gone through videos, I kind of talk about that. I want to point out, not shooting the Zarya bubble is an okay decision based off of where they're at in the map. But if they are out of position or playing very aggressive, or running at you in like a straight line, it is okay to kill the Zarya with that bubble. Because most of the time you'll kill that Zarya and you'll be very surprised at how quickly a Zarya can fall over. You'll see how quickly that can happen. But if you don't shoot at the Zarya and they take that map away, that's how you get rolled. All right, here we go. Anyway. Scrims were fun yesterday. Yep, I agree. All right, you two got the point. I mean, you're going to get that anyway. You had enough picks. Like, so far, your question was, hey, like, am I playing well enough with my team the way they're playing? Outside of you not going for map control, it's been fine. But I really want you to start to focus on that no matter what rank you're in. Of like, if your team is actually going for high ground, it's okay to take like 5 seconds to go take that map control. You can always drop down a card after, right? You know what I'm saying? So, does that make sense? Like, it's okay to like go for a little bit of map control to get the map, because if you win a team fight and you win the map control, then you'll get more card push than you would if you all just default the card and lose a team fight. What rank is this? This is gold, but this player is usually in bronze on their main. Like, their support is bronze, and when they play tank, they ended up in gold. And remember, you're going against Orisa, so you can get displaced really easily if you play too aggressive here. All right, wonderful. Be careful there, by the way. You hit a rock there to survive that. You need to play corners now at this point. You can spam, but yeah. Be ready to go to the right side. Don't push in. Go to the right or the left, hide behind walls. Otherwise, eventually they're gonna grind you down and you're gonna fall over. All right. yeah, your team is playing way too aggro right now, so if you're asking if you should be right where your team's at right now, I'd recommend not. I'd be careful of this. Here we go. We're watching, we're seeing. I mean, like, honestly, you're playing okay here. I don't like. You're also kind of playing at the pace of your team, though. So it's like, I'm okay with this. I do want you to do something to, like, keep your BAP alive. Okay, now start backing up. You lost somebody, you don't want to stay here anymore. Just be careful, because they can overrun you if you stay here for too long. They can overrun you if you stay here for too long. Be careful of ult in here in case they have the Sombra or the Javelin. There you go. Hey, good job. I think you stayed there an extra second longer than you should have, but like I said, it's in rank, it can be a little bit different with that anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, you can't use her. Alright, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with that one for now, I'd say. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't use your ult there. That was okay. Yeah, that was okay. Like I said, I feel like you're playing okay. Like, do I think you're bronze on tank? Because you said you're bronze on support? I don't know. I think I've watched enough, like, bronze games at this point to say that, like, I think you're... I would say you're Sigma... When you're on Sigma, you're not playing it terribly. Like, it's not like you're dominating, but, like, I don't think you're playing it, like... I don't know. I feel like your tank rank might be... Okay, a little bit too aggro again. Yeah, that was a little bit aggro. You said eat the orb? So, just by the way, sometimes I actually choose not to eat the orb anymore because I feel like the overshield isn't worth it sometimes with the orb. So, like, even though it's okay to eat Moira orb, I've actually started to recently eat the Moira orb less because, like, sometimes it's a little bit too, it just doesn't give me enough overshield and I find more value with it elsewhere. Diva's a different story. Always eat the orb as Diva. You could even argue Orisa, you can eat the orb if you really want to, just because of some of the cooldown management you have. But, like, with Sigma, it's very situational. I would find myself probably eating the orb less now as Sigma than I used to. Like, if they throw a Moira orb across the map and I don't need to use my eat anytime soon, right? It can be a little bit more difficult at that point. You get what I'm saying? So, it depends on a few things. It really depends on a few things. If they throw, it's like, for example, if they throw a Moira orb across the map and it's bouncing off a wall and high ground and you don't need to use your eat, you can use your eat there. But your eat's such an important ability on Sigma that sometimes it's not worth it. And this is coming from somebody who used to eat the orb a lot, and I was just like, this isn't working as well as I thought it would be. Take top left, or go to the stairs. Either works. Just as long as you're gravitating towards the bridge up here where that Sombra's at with the in the Pharah, this is the correct way to go about this. Nice job. Don't drop yet. All right, I'll give you the drop just because. Oh. I want you to, once again, in that situation, while it worked, recognize the numbers advantage your team has. At that point, I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a tough one, because I do see the Moira behind, so there was 3 on cart, you have 4 here. I'm okay with that one, actually. Their Sombra was dead at the time, so they can't hack you out of your ult. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I can see the value of that play. Oh yeah, true, that is high meme, you're right. That is true. All right. So now, okay. So now you're stuck in what I do sometimes on tank, and I want to show you what's happening here. That's not the correct play. And this can be in any rank, and this happens in any rank too. Right? I do this sometimes in top 500. I've minimized on doing it more now, more so since we started scrimming again. So I kind of understand a little bit more about like map control and like how I want to do things. You're by yourself on cart. Okay? You don't need to be cart, and the reason being is because if the cart goes from... I also love how it's a... I never realized it was a Cyclops on this. Do you see this? The cart is a Cyclops. Like, you want to end up going back up on the high ground. All right? Because if the cart goes to here, you're okay. It's fine. But the map control and the high ground that you control on this map is so good for you that just standing here AFK in the cart is how you're going to fall over. Now, I don't know if this Sombra's going to get you. They look like they're very much ready to get you, based off of what I'm seeing here. They look like they're very much ready to get you. But anyway... As I was saying, you're on an island here, basically. And now your teammates can maybe react to what you're doing, but don't be surprised if you just get EMP'd and fall over here. I don't know if like the coordination will be at that level, but we'll see. There's the hack. There's the lamp to try to save you. And I'll pause this very quickly, and I'll say this. If it works, it works. That's all I got for you. I'm not going to say that was the best play. I'm not going to say that you were in a good spot. But what I will say is if it works, it works. And it worked. So I can't say anything on that one. I mean, in hindsight, they did kind of... I guess that shows you the importance of high ground. You try to go high ground as a diamond flat player, but the team won't go up there. And if your team doesn't go up there, let me just point this out. Because somebody said in the chat, my teammate doesn't go high ground in this rank. If they don't, they don't. At that point, you just have to adjust your playstyle. If your teammates don't want to go high ground, and it's just you by yourself over and over again, what will be a better result? You sticking with your team, or you going up to the high ground, even though on paper it's a great play, but sometimes you just have to make adjustments, right? You can have a pre-planned strategy to how you want to play, how you want to do things, but Overwatch is a game that is constantly like changing mid-team fight. So what you want to do, what we give you is the option of like these good concepts that you do. Sometimes your teams just run it down mid, 18 team fights in a row, and you can't go by yourself high ground. You just can't. It just doesn't work. So sometimes playing with the pace of your team is good. So. All right. And the reason why you go high ground is because you just have such a vantage point and survivability and cover at all times. And that's why it's so important. Like, even their Zarya's running up there one by themselves, one by one. Watch out. This is going to be an all-in ult. Nothing you can do about that. Once again, though, that's why you set up high ground as default. Just to point that out one more time. That's why you want to set that up on high ground as default. That will be super helpful for you, okay? You build out there in Flux 6. Oh, I agree. Yep, Brock. Good luck. Looks like you had fun. Looks like you had an absolute blast right there. That's the tank experience right there. See, that's what I'm used to. When would you drop down? You spam out as much as you can. I mean, really, you don't even have to drop down anytime soon, right? You have plenty of time for that cart to get to where it was just at. So, like, the drop down is probably the most difficult idea of when you take high ground. A lot of it just comes down to, are you doing enough spam damage? Is it a one-team fight? Is the cart space you're giving up worth how much space you're giving up? If you play it right, most of the time you'll be like, that extra 2 meters they got was much better for a team fight win and an ult building fight. Also, be aggressive with your ult soon. You saw their Sombra. Not anymore. Back away during that. By the way, wow. That actually worked. Your ultimate lifted him up and it worked out. I just wanted you to point out, whenever you know there's a Sombra, just be careful of like going into the team during the ultimate. I generally try to escape out, so that way if they do try to go for me, my teammates can either follow up on the Sombra or the Sombra dies overextended, right? So, be careful of that. If you're on Sigma, Sombra can easily just right-click your hack. But yeah, the lift damage ended up working out, which stopped the hack, and you were good to go. So, hey, if it works, right? Did 3 out to kill that Moira? I mean, honestly, that Moira would have 1v1'd everybody. Yeah, they have Moira ult right now. As long as your soldier leaves it ult, I don't even know if the team is going to set up for a touch at this point. I mean, I guess the Sombra can, but, like, they're not even going for the... Okay, now, back away. 3, 2, now soldier ult in. Oh, you have Moira ult too. Yep, Rock, nice shot. Not bad. Hey, it looks like you just win this. I mean, hey, it worked. Okay, so we'll answer a couple of your questions here. Okay, so the first question you had, are you in too high of a rank, etc. Here's my take. What if I was able to kind of meet you in the middle on this one and say that you're, like, not quite gold, but not bronze? And you said you're bronze as support. I'd say, like, this is probably around silver, which isn't bad. Like, you played okay. Like, it wasn't, like, terrible. Like, I wouldn't watch this and go, oh, wow, like, your Ramatra was tough for you. I think your Ramatra needs a little bit of work, but, like, your Sigma was, like, wasn't bad in a sense. I think your only thing is, like, you just don't recognize map control when you have a good opportunity to go up there, but like it wasn't bad. So I'd say like your teammates played very well, yes. How you would play if your teammates weren't playing like that is the next question. And maybe there's like in the future, there's a Where Are They Now series with that we can go with. So like, I think if you don't have teammates that are able to do what they were doing that game, you just stand in AFK and the cart will not go well. But mechanically, you played okay, and I think that wasn't too bad. Like, I wouldn't be like too... I wouldn't like look at that and be like, oh, I should be right where I'm at in bronze with like my support rank. I think it's like, you know, I can see you being above support on, or above bronze on tank. So I wouldn't feel too bad about your gameplay there. But yeah, work on those things. It will help you a lot. And remember, Sigma is projectile, not hit scan. So remember to like lead a little bit with your shots. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to all 3 YouTubes if you haven't. If you want to submit your own spectating, look in the description below. My Discord's where you would do any of that. Pretty much submit any of that stuff. We also record these live on stream. You can see the Twitch chat right below the webcam right there. So stop by if you haven't. With that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day/night.